your socks! Hey!
The Lost Art with Andrew Cox podcast. Marine Corps League and Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. Now streaming on all major podcast platforms. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast as giving a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and if you're enjoying these episodes, then make sure you go to the website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go check us out, see what we're all about, and if there's any way you can help us in getting our veteran voices out for all to hear, it would be much appreciated. Also, a big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project out there doing amazing things. If you don't know anything about that great organization, go to their website. That's tillvalhallaproject.com. And if you're a Marine out there, veteran, you need a place to hang, a place to put your hat up, anything like that, the Marine Corps League is there for you. Go check them out. That's mcleague.org. They're trying to get all of their numbers up in the Marine Corps League. So if we can help them out in any way, it would be much appreciated. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. All right. With that, I've got my guest here. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm doing awesome. How about you, AJ?
Oh man, I can't complain. I'm excited. Going to have you on here, tell your story. I get to hear another one. I'm always excited to hear stories.
Yeah, there's plenty of them out there.
That is for sure. Yeah. If I could just get them all to come on the podcast, we'd be doing pretty good. You know, got to get all of them.
Yeah.
But let's kind of start at the beginning with you. Like, where'd you grow up? Kind of what was that like, and then what drew you into the military?
Well, I grew up kind of twofold. I was born in Michigan, grew up in California until high school. Got sent back here to live in Michigan. My dad was here, so I did my high school time here in southeastern Michigan, Tecumseh.
Okay.
Tecumseh engines and, back on the lawnmowers back in the day. But
that's right.
So pretty cool little town. Especially coming from Southern California, from the time I was about 4 years old till I was 14. I get here, and it was the sesquicentennial year, 1974, and I was going to be starting high school. And,
okay.
So the sesquicentennial, they had a big deal going on in town for beard growing. And
nice.
My dad was a barber in town. And he had a beard about down to his belt buckle.
Oh, wow.
I'm getting picked up in Detroit from Southern California. I look like David Cassidy with long hair, surfer, skateboarder kid. And I'm getting picked up by like an axe murderer. Because I'd never talked to him or never met him until I came back here. So it was kind of an interesting couple of weeks of getting acclimated.
That's pretty funny, getting picked up by an axe murderer.
Right. I got another one like that. So for him too, same way as later on, he's in California. I'm a drill instructor down at MCRD San Diego. And he comes out to visit, and he's in a rental car in front or behind me, I don't remember, going on to Camp Pendleton. And he still had the same beard, bib overalls, logging,
nice,
and they wave him right through and stop me and have me pull my ID card out. I'm like, you just basically let a murderer go. I'm actually active duty,
Yeah.
They're like, okay. Funny.
Oh, that's good. Wow. So, and then you spent the rest of your high school time there in Michigan?
Yeah, I stayed here. I graduated here. I worked a couple of years, about a year and a half on a construction crew. I was a bricklayer. So
nice.
We were doing basements and brick houses and fireplaces and everything. Right. One day I just packed up my stuff because I was always in the Midwest. The schools back then were set up to where you were either going to go to college, you were going to go to Votech school and learn a trade, or you were going in the military. That was it.
Right.
It's like going to boot camp, right? You're going to be a religion on Sunday.
Yeah.
And in the first 4 weeks of boot camp, you might be 4 different religions, because you may say you're not that one, right? Well, good. Yeah. Try this one next week, you know? So because church count and shit paper in the military are, you know, a big deal. So
that's right.
So anyways, you know, just getting acclimated back here and being on the job, I fell into that. I want to go in the military, but then I went to Votech school, and I really liked the building trades. And I was making good money. And Jimmy Carter was in office then. And that was the Iran hostage time, 1999 time frame. And I was still, all my guys that I worked with on the construction crew here in Michigan were all military guys, Vietnam guys and that.
Oh, right.
So I was still hyped up on it, but it's hard when you're making money.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, man, I'm making good money here. You know, I'm 18 years old in Michigan. I got my own 4-wheel drive truck, motorcycle, and snowmobile. Well, what else do you need, right? I mean,
that's right. What else do you need?
So, but one day I was on a job site, and I just packed my tools up, went and got my paycheck, and told the guys, I said, I'm out. I'm going to join the Marine Corps tomorrow.
Wow.
We're like, what? And I was like, yeah. And that was it. I went back home, came back to Michigan. I was up in Canada building a Holiday Inn. I came back home, and that was the end of that. And they came to boot camp graduation.
No kidding.
December 1980. I had a whole crew of guys out there. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Now, what prompted you to join the Marine Corps versus something else?
Well, it was like anything else. So building trades, you have people who do the framing and the finishing, and you know, you got some roofers. That's a tough job, but
yeah,
there's not a whole lot tougher job in building a house than foundations, footings, pouring walls, laying brick and block, doing fireplace. I mean, the block that I was carrying were 12-inch block. They're 70 pounds a piece.
Yeah.
You know, you're carrying 2 of them in each hand in the web, throwing them up on the scaffold. So it's like being in the Marine Corps, and then, you know, somebody says, well, why didn't you just do this job? Well, that didn't seem challenging enough, you know? So,
right. Yeah.
This was just a gut check for me is what it was.
Okay.
You have the mental toughness and really the intestinal fortitude.
Right.
Because everything is geared to where, really, for the most part, if you're an average American kid, boy or girl, boot camp in the military is designed for you. Right? The only part that fails you really is your mind. You know, I mean, like we deployed, right? I don't know how many you went on, but you know, I don't care if you're in the Marine Corps for 15 years, 5 years, or 30 years. Every time you change your physical and your lifestyle and your change, it's anxiety. It causes your body to do weird things, and you're not by your family. So,
absolutely,
yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's really cool. Now, what did you think about boot camp yourself? Did you enjoy it, or was it a gut check for you at all?
Well, my boss that I worked for here in Michigan was a Vietnam Marine. And he was a tough guy.
Yeah.
And the guys that I worked with were tough guys. So they actually had money bet on me, because I was kind of a scrawny 165 pounder, you know, really I was just a dude, right? I wasn't a farmer here in Michigan. I mean, when I first got here from California, my dad thought it would be funny to have me play football.
Yeah.
Well, I surfed and skateboarded in California. I didn't carry cows around.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Slaughter pigs. You know, I mean, I was just a freaking punk kid from California. So I show up at this football camp. I'm a freshman in high school. And I don't believe that these guys were really truly in my grade.
So much bigger.
I thought I went from ninth grade to like senior in college or something. I mean, these kids out here are big and they're strong.
Yeah.
So I figured I need to have a sense of humor if I was going to live through this program, you know. So that was kind of how that went. Yeah.
That's funny.
But,
Very nice.
I mean, joining the Marine Corps to me was just a coming off of the construction jobs, and I was strong when I went to boot camp. I was physically
Right.
strong. I was mentally strong. I worked in hot. I worked in cold. I worked until my hands bled. I mean, I worked 7 days a week.
Right.
And so for me, boot camp wasn't a huge adjustment.
Hmm.
Getting yelled at and, having things, on a timeline, when you're pouring footings and different things. So
Right.
camp was okay for me. And the military was actually okay for me. I liked it. I mean, it was just something about the whole camaraderie and the brotherhood that was, and sisterhood. I had my last duty station. I was on recruiting duty. I had
Yeah.
Marines. There were some great Marines. I know that everything in today's world is different than it was back in 1979, 1980 when I was first.
Yeah.
I don't know when you first went in, and you can't compare
There's
yesterday to today.
that is true statement. Yeah. Now I didn't come in until 99 and things
Yeah.
have changed since then. So,
Right.
so yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you know were you going in already knowing what your job was going to be?
No, I went
Okay.
into a contract. I actually wanted to because of my background. I mean, when you fill out what do you see yourself doing in the military or whatever that was? I don't know, the dream
Right.
sheet or whatever. I put down, I wanted to do heavy equipment
Mm,
operator or anything in the construction side of that
right.
deal. So I got a story for that later on down the road once we get into the whole military thing. But that was just kind of
Yeah.
went. And then I just was selected as as an infantry, open
Right.
contact 0311, which was fine. I,
Hmm.
I enjoy, wouldn't trade it for anything. I think, although not having, a career path, some people say it's like, it's like air wing guys get out and they're airframe guys and
Right. Yeah.
they, they instantly make a bunch of money. Well, when you leave 20 some years as an infantryman, you're kind of limited, I mean,
Yeah.
unless you went to college. But if you were really doing your job, you really didn't go to college. You really went and did your job, that kind of thing. But
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, it was just kind of one of those deals. But no, I was open contract and
Okay.
trade it. Yeah,
Now, and then, so you went to San Diego for boot camp,
yeah.
correct? Yeah. Okay.
I was right on the line here in Michigan, so we had a choice to go, and I thought, well, hell, if I'm gonna go to boot camp and it's gonna kind of suck a little bit, I would
Yeah.
rather have it suck in San Diego than Paris Island.
Oh, yeah.
You
I
know,
I understand that. Yeah.
if you're gonna choose your suffering, choose it wisely.
Yeah. You were used to the Southern California, so you kind
Yes.
of knew everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, so after boot camp, you go up now School of Infantry, and you're going to learn all your 0311 stuff. So, how was that transition for you doing that?
That was good. The hiking, carrying gear, stuff like that. It was a weird thing. I didn't think that I would do that well. I thought I would break at some point, and even except for broken bones stuff while I was on active duty, just
Right.
coming out of helicopters at night, landing on boulders and snapping bones in your feet, stuff.
Yeah.
But I was surprised that I wasn't more broken than I was after the year,
Hmm.
being in the infantry and hiking all those miles. My gosh.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of was like, why would you re-sign up to that?
Yeah.
But
It is a lot of hiking, that's for sure.
yeah, it's the same reason you go in. It's like,
Mhm.
you're still feeling good and you still like what you're doing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So, I mean, other than the hiking and everything like that, I mean, was the school difficult for you or?
No, it was, I was well in tune for what was going on. And,
Very nice.
We were busy and it was exciting. I mean, we got to shoot and throw hand grenades and blow stuff up. I mean,
Yeah.
and swear and like pick on people. It was like real life,
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh man, that's awesome. So okay, you spend your time there, and then you end up. Where did you actually go for your first duty
Good
station?
question, because it was kind of a weird thing. So I was at School of Infantry in San Diego, Camp Pendleton,
Right.
and their interview team comes through from Marine Barracks 8th and I
Yeah.
to go to the Presidential Honor Guard or the silent drill team or whatever was going on. And so they sent us through all these different marching, and it was more of a height thing too. Everybody had to be like an even
Oh, right.
6'1" type of thing, right? So I was in between. I was like 6 foot then. I don't know, 6 foot still at 65 years old, but so I got selected for that. I don't know if you remember this name, but the sergeant major who was there, he was a gunnery sergeant then, was Sergeant Major Gary Trescott.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, he was him and you remember General J. Paxton.
Yeah.
And Colonel T.B. Schward. They were there on the interview team.
No kidding.
So I got selected along with a handful of other guys from School of Infantry. And we went back to Marine Barracks 8th and I ended up in Bravo Company, 2nd Platoon. And I did
very cool
there on the Presidential Honor Guard, doing all the, the parades and,
right.
That kind of stuff. So pretty much wearing from PFC to corporal, wore every uniform there at 8th and I in every possible way you could think of,
Yeah. And very high standards up at 8th and I as well when it comes to uniforms.
Yeah. So we had that. And then after my 2 years, it was time to either extend and stay at the barracks, which it was pretty easy to do because you're already trained, and if you didn't,
right,
if you were a good Marine, hell, I made meritorious Lance Corporal and Corporal there. So
nice.
I could have stayed, but I still wanted to do that infantry thing, and so I got orders down to 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines.
Okay.
Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, Geiger Tigers.
That's right. Yeah, I love it. Okay. Yeah. Well, talk to me about that. So, going to 8th and I as your first duty station, so you're kind of out of the loop a little bit when it comes to infantry. So how was that for you coming back?
Well, luckily, for me, it was a timing thing. So I got down. 8th Marines had just got back from a deployment. I got down, got moved in, and got a school seat to the squad leader school at Camp Lejeune.
Okay. Yeah.
So all infantry tactics and everything. And so got a seat there, ended up actually making meritorious sergeant out of there.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah. And General Gray, Al Gray, was 2nd Marine Division CG at the time.
Yeah.
And came down and promoted us on an LZ after graduation.
No kidding.
Yeah, I think it was the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grad. But there was another Master Gunnery Sergeant French retired out of 1st Marine Division. He, I think he might still be in Fallbrook. Me and him were there. I think Kenny Goss was with us. There was a crew of us that all of us kind of went to school together, and we all got promoted.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, so General Gray was a CG then. So then we just did workups, getting ready to deploy, going back to Lebanon.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. Oh, going to Lebanon. Okay. So what were the workups getting you ready? I mean, did you step right into the squad leader position as a corporal? You did. Yeah. So how was that stepping in as that, and then preparing for your deployment?
So preparing for the deployment really didn't change from then all the way up until probably my last deployment. The interesting thing about it is it's Camp Lejeune. It's September, August. We're getting ready to deploy. Gosh, when were we leaving? September, October, end of September, I think. And so it was going to be changing overseas as far as winter. We're in the heat of the, going rainy season and everything. So it was just kind of funny, but we did a lot of mount training,
Okay.
attacking cities. And kind of
Mm-hmm.
funny story, you talk about being out of the elements, is we were at Combat Town at Lejeune.
Mm-hmm.
We had it set up for where we were going to be operating in Beirut. We already knew where we were going. So kind of like combat, urban operations, now going back to
You're
Iraq,
right.
Afghanistan, it was the same.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of know the lay of the land. Well, 8th Marines had already been there, so they
Right.
knew where we were going. And so we kept doing this attack on the city and for Combat Town, and it was like 35 degrees and raining in Camp Lejeune,
Wow.
North Carolina that day.
Wow.
Insane. And back then in the 80s, what year was this? 1983, October, September. It was just miserable. And I was so freaking cold. It was like the cold front that just went through in the South, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was what happened. And I remember them saying, let's go. Okay, let's do it again. All right, let's do it again. Let's do it again. And I remember going back, but if I have to go back and brief these guys one more time, I might start crying. I was so cold. You ever just stood there so cold, way to your bones, and went,
Absolutely.
I'm not going to make it,
That in itself is a true gut check, I think.
Yes.
It's just amazing. But mind over matter, you eventually get through it.
Yeah. So anyways, and, of course it only lasted a few days, and we were in it all 3 days,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But then it was just prep to deploy, So we jumped on the boats out of Morehead City.
Okay.
And started heading east.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And how long were you on the ship before you got over there?
Well, so we were on the ship. Let me see. I think we took off about the beginning of October, and we were heading east, going, we knew where we were going. We were heading into the and so every morning on the ship, we're up and we're running the flight deck. Sun's, right square in our eyes, and it's going great. And all of a sudden, we jump up onto the flight deck, and I was with Sergio Diaz. He was my running partner and the other squad leader.
Okay.
In the platoon. So me and him were workout buddies, and that. So we're up there. He was from Miami. He taught me all the bad Spanish words. So Sergio, me and him are running, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, we realized the sun now is on the left side of our head. We're heading due south.
Right.
And I was on the 22nd MAU then, Marine Amphibious.
Right.
And I was on the USS Guam. So we're running and we're heading straight south. And by the time we get to the chow hall in the morning, there's every rumor around about what's going on, right? I mean,
yeah.
And so finally the captain of the ship comes on and announces there's been a change of plans. There's been a coup takeover in Grenada. And
oh, wow.
It was when the Cubans went in, declared martial law. They assassinated Maurice Bishop, the prime minister.
Right.
When they declared martial law, they weren't kidding. They were killing people in the street. We found out when we got there. But
yeah.
So now getting there was the other story. So now we're on the ship and we're heading south. Captain of the ship comes on, tells us what we're getting ready to do. And what do the Marines care about the most at being on deployment? Everybody's sitting there and we're all at the map looking, are we going to cross the equator so that we can be shellbacks?
Yeah, right.
We're getting ready to go to combat and everybody's concerned about if we're going to get to do the shellback.
Yeah, makes sense.
Deal, yeah. And on deployment. So, gosh.
Well, did you get to do it?
No, well, we didn't do it until after I came back from that deployment. Then we went out of Horno with 1st Marines, and then we did a couple of them then. So
okay.
But it was just kind of hilarious. So then we started looking at Grenada. I'd never even heard of Grenada. Right. So you're starting to try to do research on that, but that was before phones and Google and everything. So you're kind of at the whim of what you can find to read and anything like that. So it was an interesting time, but Leading up to that, I mean, it was just typical deployment on the Guam. That was my first deployment in '83.
Yeah.
So, and then, yeah, we figured we were going in to move the Cubans out, and so sure enough, that was what we did. And
Okay.
so being a part of 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines, we were there. We landed in the airport.
Yeah.
And airport it was pretty awesome too. The airport was, it was a regular, we probably take like a single engine jet at the time, but the Cubans came in, took it over, and they started tunneling in under the trees were like a canopy tree.
Oh, wow.
And so they continued the runways underneath these canopy trees. So they could take like an F-16, an F-18,
Wow.
double-seater jet, land on that little runway, but go another mile into the underneath the darn woods, all triple canopied to where it was all covered.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you were doing an aerial thing, you just look down and think, oh, it's just a regular old airport that they had.
Yeah. Huh. Man, that's pretty smart.
Yeah. So they used the trees as cover. And so that was where we landed. And then the airport was surrounded by some pretty decent mountaintops or hills. And they had automatic weapons, and they had it was the old like triple barrel or quad barreled where it went like
right,
like in a tractor seat, and turned it with like a steering wheel.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
For air defense. That's what they were shooting at the Cobras with.
Wow.
And the 46s. That's what they were using. Yeah.
Were they accurate with them, or?
They were pretty good. They
Yeah.
I mean, they shot a couple 46s down. I think they shot a Cobra down or hurt it pretty bad. I don't remember if it actually went down or not.
Wow.
But yeah, they were pretty good. But they as soon as there was any opposition, when we showed up there, they would run for the moment. They didn't stand and fight.
Yeah.
Because they would just blend in. A lot of them were locals that were taken over by the Cubans or Cubans, but they looked like the locals.
Right.
They had dreadlocks and, they're all in mostly no shirts with like the mud boots, muck boots.
Yeah.
And that was kind of how they operated.
Yeah. 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 So you just blended in with the populace and would kind of hide or whatever.
Yeah, they could come off the mountain and just stand on a farm like they were, just cutting bananas.
Yeah.
But you didn't know.
Wow. So, and this is your first kind of taste of combat, and all that type of stuff,
Yeah.
Now, what were you like? What was going through your mind? This is your first deployment with combat and things of that nature. Like, how did you prepare yourself and your Marines?
Well, I've always kind of joked about it, and my Marines used to joke about it when I was going. And you get promoted, and you have Marines that are with you, and all that stuff. And you're putting out fires as a senior enlisted Marine all the time. Somebody's got something.
Oh yeah,
and they come showing up, and they're like, "Got it." And you're like, "What?" And I'm looking at them, and I'm like, "Hold on." I'm like, "Hold on. Anybody getting shot?" No. All right. They're like, no. I'm like, can we fix it? Yes. I'm like, all right, then settle down.
Yeah.
What happened? Well, it was kind of the same thing, because after combat or after in a position where people are getting hurt,
right.
We were not ever in any crazy head-to-head fighting like Iraq and Afghanistan.
Right.
Or even Gulf War I, where we went to next. It was Grenada, Lebanon. Grenada was, the Cubans thought they had a great idea. Reagan thought that he was going to, not let them do it. And it literally,
right.
I mean, it was 7 days and it was really over. We were back on the ships heading back over to Lebanon.
No kidding.
So, yeah. So, we landed October 23rd, 1983 was the bombing in Beirut, Lebanon. October 25th, we landed on the island of Grenada.
Oh, wow.
2 days after that.
Yeah.
So the biggest message is this was our sister battalion in Beirut that just got blown up, and we didn't really know anything.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to go into Grenada, who we don't really know a whole lot about that either. You know, the Cubans,
Mm-hmm.
who's the Cubans? Who cares, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we have a Marine amphibious unit here, locked and loaded. So you're not going
Mm-hmm.
to really win this battle, but didn't seem to. The anxiety was way less than I anticipated it. Especially, when you're snapping hand grenades on your vest.
Yeah.
I mean, it really becomes real.
Uh-huh.
I mean, 22-year-old sergeant squad leader getting ready to be in charge of, people's lives and responsible for
Right.
death. Man, that was like, wow. But that week went pretty quick. We had a couple kids injured. It wasn't friendly fire. It was more just people running and shooting, like they were running into the woods.
Oh, right. Yeah.
A stand your ground type of thing. The only places that was really where they had places to hide in the college when
Mm-hmm.
we got the college kids out. So, but the biggest thing going into Grenada at the time was they're not the ones that we were fighting in Lebanon. They're not the ones
Right.
that bombed our brothers and sisters in
Huh.
Lebanon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a whole different fight.
Huh.
So that kind of made sense, right? It's like you don't want to get anybody in trouble thinking, oh, we're going to get payback. No payback.
Right.
Med. We're over here in a whole nother,
Yeah.
paradise. We're on Paradise Island, for God's sake.
Yeah.
So,
True.
yeah. So that was kind of how that worked. And it was good. And the deployment was good. Learned a lot. Learned a lot about, and it was hot down there. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had people go down with heat stroke and stuff, heat exhaustion.
Right.
Just because you've got all that pent up, whatever you're feeling.
Yeah. Like the anxiety or something like that.
I want to say the word scared, because that was the thing, is like people, when you go to the VA, what do they ask you? Drinking, smoking.
Yeah.
Did you ever smoke? Yes. When I was deployed and I was getting ready to lock and load and step across the line of departure, I always had a Marlboro.
Yeah.
Here? No, I don't.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, anyways, but it's that feeling of probably just complete unknown, right? Don't know really what's going to happen. And, the first time you see somebody actually get shot, and now you realize that it's not a dirt clod fight in the drain.
Right. Yeah.
Out behind the farm, this is like real stuff.
Right. Absolutely. You actually see what your weapon systems can actually do at that point.
Yes, absolutely. So, but it was a quick op for us, for the Marine Corps, for the MAO, 22nd MAO at the time. It was a quick 7 to 10 days, and we were gone. And the movie Heartbreak Ridge actually did a pretty good job with it, as far as with Clint Eastwood, when he went in to get
really.
He went into the colleges and stuff, and that's where they were holding the kids hostage.
Right
there, and so the movie itself, leading up to On the Island and stuff, they did a pretty decent job. It was kind of like that.
Wow,
it wasn't really
very interesting.
Yeah, you didn't really have like, it was a lot of like when we went to the president's house, Maurice Bishop's house, it was guarded by dogs. Those dogs got shot because they were attack dogs. I mean, already dead. So, and that was the martial law area and all that. So,
right.
Yeah, it was just, it was good. Kind of a crazy story. So I was married out of Michigan, out of high school. To a gal I went to school here with, Kathy. And so we were married for over 41 years. 3 years ago, she died of ovarian cancer. So we were married 41 years. But she had a lot of the Camp Lejeune stuff. She had different water stuff. They've never proven it. But kind of looking back on it, she was barely 60 years old when she got cancer and died. 5 months, she was gone. But so yeah, I got married to her. I was a Lance Corporal and retired from the Marine Corps, did 20 years in California. And when we retired, she actually passed away. She got sick and died. And
wow.
Yeah, so crazy. But we
But
were
they were never able to prove that was
yet.
connected. Not
Yeah,
yet.
not yet.
Mm.
But going back to the Grenada thing, so we're planning a cruise about like a Bahamas,
Hmm.
Bermuda, something like that cruise, right? I
Yeah.
never have an opinion about really anything like dinner. What do you want for dinner? My always go-to thing was lasagna because I knew she
Yeah.
wasn't going to make it because it was a lot of work to make lasagna.
Right.
But hey, what do you want for dinner? Lasagna. Well, that's not going to happen. Okay, well, whatever we're having, I'm eating it, right?
Yeah.
Well, it was the same thing with vacations or anything like that. It was like, if you like it and we're going to have a good time, I'm good.
Yeah.
This one, she asked me this deployment or this cruise that she wanted to go on. It was our 30th wedding anniversary. It was a 10-day cruise,
Uh-huh.
all through like Aruba, but you had all these different islands. One of them was Grenada.
Oh, wow.
But there was 2 other cruises that didn't have Grenada. So
Yeah.
she says to me, well, I want to do these cruises, but there's 3 different ones, and one of them has Grenada. I thought maybe you might want to go on that one because it was part of the deployment that you did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that one. And then she has this look on her face. I'm like, what? She goes, well, I didn't really want to do that one. I said, well, why'd you tell me about it? Because I would have never even known.
Yeah.
She goes, I didn't think you would pick it because it didn't have the surf islands that were out there that you were going to want to do.
Yeah.
We just always kind of laughed. The first time I ever had an opinion, I got shut down.
I love it.
Here we go, right? But yeah, so I didn't get to go on that cruise. We did go on a cruise and had a great time doing it, but it was always kind of a joke. The dude never has an opinion. Finally, he has an opinion, and that's what we're going on. So
you didn't have the right opinion. That's
I didn't
what
have
happened
the right
there.
opinion. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So we finished up Grenada. Anything on the Grenada side of it that comes to your mind?
Now, you said you were with them when they went into the colleges and got the kids out?
Yes.
We were
part of security. It was by then we knew where they were all at. So it was a big op there was recon there and Navy SEALs there, and
so they had everybody there basically.
Us regular old grunts were just standing in the woods, probably with a dip of Copenhagen. Go, when are we getting the heck out of here?
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow, that's a iconic time in history.
Yes, we put them on we did help put them on the trucks going out, and then shout that. So I was wearing a shirt in California back when I was a sergeant or a staff sergeant. That had something Marine Corps on the front of it, and on the back it had Operation Urgent Fury, Grenada, Lebanon, 1983-84. I was up in Newport Beach. My mom lived up there, and I'm up there at some Christmas thing. And some guy comes up to me, and he's like, hey, because I'm reading the back of your shirt. Were you a part of the Marines that went into Grenada and got the college kids out of there? And I said, well, I wasn't directly responsible for the college kids, but yes, I was there, and we helped get them on the stuff. He's like, hold on a minute. He goes and gets his kid who was there.
Really?
And got rescued by the units that were all there. And
now that's cool.
On the trucks and all that. So we sat there and had a couple beers and we're talking. And so, yeah, but their experience was kind of pretty much what it was on TV. They were in the dorms. They had food and showers, and, they weren't beaten and tortured or anything like that. So,
right. They're just held in that area.
Yeah.
They just told them don't leave. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids of richer kids that were, in college going to medical school there.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. That's just to be a part of that and to say you're a part of that is one just amazing thing. It was at least in my opinion.
Yeah, it was
sorry about that. I got a guy here. He's fixing our stuff in the RV. So and make sure he was good there.
Yeah.
But
what kind of is that what you travel in an RV?
Yeah, well, go motorhome, yeah. So a Fleetwood Storm motorhome. It's about 34 feet, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's been a lot of fun.
Where are you in right now then?
What's that?
Where are you at?
We're in Oklahoma, so we're originally from here.
Oh,
And so when I retired last year, I retired in Virginia Beach, and then went down south to North Carolina, visit there, and then went across back here to Oklahoma, went down to Texas. And the whole time I was doing interviews with people. So went
okay.
down to Texas and went over to New Mexico, shot all the way up, went to Wyoming, and then shot back across to the East Coast because I had some stuff I had to do. And then now we're back here in Oklahoma.
Oh,
So,
okay, cool.
but we're probably going to be here for a while.
Well, that's
And
what I was
then,
doing. That's what I was doing when I retired, and me and my wife have a had a fifth wheel.
yeah,
I have a different one now, but that's what we were doing. And she didn't feel good, and that was cancer. And
yeah.
yeah, that's what we were going to do for a couple of years, just
Hmm.
kind of nomad.
And how quick, like when she started feeling sick, how fast was it?
6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she
Holy
did
cow.
up in Whidbey Island in Washington,
Hmm.
and she didn't feel that good, and so we were right there on a Navy base. And so let's go to the hospital. If you know, she goes, no, it's just blah, blah, blah. And a couple weeks later, we were back up in our home. We moved up to Bend, Oregon for a little bit.
Hmm.
Went to the doctor there, and the doc sent her straight from her office to the hospital. And within two
Oh,
days,
wow.
the test came back, and within 5 months, she was gone.
Wow.
Yep.
That's fast.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Well, we were teenagers together, man. I was with her
Yeah.
life. You
And you
know,
said you were married for 40,
41,
41?
41 years.
41 years.
Yeah.
Holy cow, man. I'm
Together,
sorry.
together 44 years.
Yeah.
Oh, but we had a freaking blast, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we raised some freaking cool Lance Corporal hell. Let me tell you that, right? And
As it should be.
everybody always had this freaking funny facade. My wife, she always had this facade that where she was the conservative little goody goody, this and that. Man, there was a reason she hung out with me for 41 years
Yeah.
because it was every day there was something gonna happen. I mean, it was just
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And plus all
That's
the
awesome.
people who you meet and all the jarheads that are over, the Marines that are over, and the
Oh,
just
yeah.
crazy crap that happens every day. She was
Yeah.
just nuts as we were, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was married before I came in, and my wife has been with me the whole time. So
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's been through all my crazies, and
Hell yeah.
yeah, it's been a good time.
And yeah. And the only thing they know is that the stories get better, longer, and there's a little added twist to each one every couple of years.
That's right. That's right. It's like fish stories, man. It
You ain't
starts
lying.
out here, but man, by the end, that thing's huge. That's awesome. All right, so you get finished with Grenada. You end up going back to Camp Lejeune from there, or did you end up
We went,
going on over to Lebanon?
yeah, we went to Lebanon and
Okay,
started the recovery from the barracks getting blown up.
right.
And boy, I'll tell you what, that is something that you don't ever think about.
Mm-hmm.
Is all the war movies that we ever watched and all the bombs and airplane crashes and different stuff. As kids growing up, you're watching all this stuff. So, but that barracks was a 9-story building, if I remember right, 7 to 9 stories,
Yeah,
all concrete, typical Middle East building.
right. Yeah.
And that darn thing, they drove that van or that truck underneath like the parking structure and blew it from the
Mm-hmm.
bottom down. So it just collapsed on itself,
Right.
right, for the most part. And but the smell of
Hmm.
bodies.
Ooh, yeah.
So something that you don't think about, right? So we get to Lebanon beginning in November.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like probably a week after Grenada, I would imagine. We were steaming pretty fast for a mile.
Yeah.
We were moving. And that had been, once it collapsed, there was, 241 people. A lot of them were
Mm-hmm.
trapped in between floors,
Right.
and the bodies start rotting, and
Mm-hmm.
the flesh, and Then you've got the heat, the mosquitoes, the flies,
Oh, geez.
rain,
Yeah.
mud. I mean, it was just, you can't, it's insane to even think about it. I mean,
Right.
and then, it only prepares you for what happens next, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, I remember that,
Holy cow.
what a scene. That was a scene. I'll just explain to you the force of the blast of this
Mm-hmm.
thing. So the building was right off of the airport, right
Mm-hmm.
off the runways, really. It was probably part of the airport, if I remember right. But in our headquarters, and like where my platoon and stuff was, it was probably a quarter of a mile, if not farther away from that building. And I remember
Really?
standing there. And again, that deployment Marlboro, right? I'm either
Yeah.
at dip or I look up in this tree and there was an ammo can that had been blown into the palm tree. It was seated flush, and the top of the ammo can was open.
Wow.
Had the top of the ammo can and then the bottom of the ammo can seated flush into this palm tree.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that was the force of the explosion for around that
Good
area.
Lord.
Yeah,
And that's you said a quarter mile, half mile
that was
away.
easily a quarter of a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yep. So that was pretty much what we were doing the first couple of weeks until, that big heavy equipment got in there and moved stuff. And then going back to my construction time,
Mm-hmm.
they decided it would be a good idea to put everybody underground in bunkers. Well,
Right.
my CO, Colonel Hank Donegan, Henry Donegan,
Mm-hmm.
Fallbrook, California. You might know him. He's the guy who runs Semper Fi. He runs all the marathons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hank Donegan. He was my company commander.
Okay.
So I just ran into him at Pendleton a couple months ago while I was on the beach out there with the fifth wheel, and here he comes running down the road. I'm like, hey, sir. He's like, Sergeant Major.
I love it.
But he so he was, and he was a runner then.
No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, he would run, and he had a device in his flak jacket that he would talk to while he ran the compound in his flak jacket and his helmet,
Wow.
recording the day's activities of what was going on. So,
Holy cow.
yeah, if you ever want to talk to Henry Donegan, shoot me a message. I'll connect you up with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Yeah.
He's a great man. So, yeah, awesome Marine officer. Anyways, so we get back, and so he's like, all right, well, we need to put everybody underground. Who's got construction experience? I'm like, so
it's going to pay off.
We get the CBs to come in and dig holes, and they came in and dug all the holes, and they had blueprints, dropped off all the lumber, and we went to town building all the underground bunkers.
Wow.
And so that was pretty awesome, actually. And
So,
I had Bob Hope down in mind.
really?
Yeah, he came for a visit, and we got assigned security detail for him. He's like, "Where do you guys live, man? I bet it's really nice." I'm like, "You want to see where we live?"
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
5-star.
It's underground with like 7 layers of sandbags on the roof that was even to the ground.
Oh,
All
wow.
covered in like plastic, for waterproofing and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, we
Holy
lived
cow.
underground. It was like a birthing area,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was our.
Now, how many of those did you have to build?
Oh gosh, I probably built over 30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for I was an Echo company, but I
Mm-hmm.
ended up going out to golf company too and helped build out there. And then once we got squared away, but yeah, that was kind of all I was doing for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, it was get a working party and go.
Now, and how long would you say it took to get all that done?
It was a solid month.
Yeah.
Not longer. We were building really until we left in May of '84.
Okay.
We got there in November of '83.
Mm-hmm.
And so that started pretty rapid, pretty quick. We had a lot of equipment there. And so the CBs dug the holes, they delivered the lumber and the plans, and then we built it. because they were building
Wow.
stuff for, they were building like BLT type headquarters and different.
Right, right.
And, you know, it's typical military. We wasted a lot of time and money doing stuff we didn't need to do, when somewhere along the line, they knew we were leaving in 4 months.
Right.
You know, we blew up so much ammo in place. They built a hole, or dug a hole, that we threw ammo in for probably a month. I'm talking tow rockets.
Are you serious?
Stinger missiles. It wasn't going back on the ship.
Wow.
So I don't even know how much, but there was so much ammo in this. When they actually lit it off, we were on the ship at the time. We were the last coming off the beach.
Oh, wow.
And we got on the ships, you know, or the LCACs, or what were the boats then that we used? LVTs or
LVTs,
right?
Yeah.
We got back on, but they were blowing stuff in place. And then the last one that blew, that was insane. It was machine gun ammo. I mean, you name it. Anything that was out of cases was left and blown in place.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. Woo. It was.
Now, were you watching it, like the explosion when it happened? And you get to see the cool little sound, or the sound wave, whatever it is that comes at you, or what have you.
Yeah, it was insane. But you know, I will say the Druze and the Shiites are the two factions that were fighting there at the time, and I forget now who was on whose side. I don't even know, but they were a bunch of cowards too. I mean,
really?
Yeah, it was so funny. As you get out to we double manned different positions in the city, and these guys talking about, hey, if the PLO come, we're running. I said, you better have your tennis shoes on, because I'll shoot your ass in the back. You're my partner here today, man. My partner don't run.
Yeah. Shoot you in the back.
But yeah, it was very interesting, you know, and then we left there, and you know, and you don't really have, you know, I mean, you do all this stuff as a young NCO, and all these things that are happening, they end up in the history books, and you're a part of it, and you're so oblivious to all of it while it's happening.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's just another day. I'm just doing what I'm told, and you know.
We were going to Road of Spain to de-snow, right? And that washed all the mud off the freaking boats. And I mean, come on, man. We were just looking to have a beer, you know?
Yeah.
We didn't even know what we did, you know? So,
that's wild.
But yeah, interesting. It was a good time. But December 4th was a time in history for us. We were getting shelled pretty bad. Rockets were just blasting, and they were all the 122 rockets. So there was all indirect stuff landing on rooftops.
Right.
So all of our sandbag stuff, we didn't really have. Most of our outposts didn't really have roofs on them. They were sandbagged around, and we, you know, were sitting.
Oh, right.
Yes. Well, we started building stuff after that, but so one of the outposts was checkpoint 51 or something. Manny Cox had a crew out there on a building, and they got hit with a direct hit on top of the building with a 122 rocket.
Wow.
Took out, God, I can't remember how many were dead, but Manny Cox was one of them that was dead.
Yeah.
And but we had to go out and evac him, and we took Amtrak's out to get him. And it was a good firefight night. I will tell you, 50 cals were going, rockets were going.
Oh, wow.
The air looked like 4th of July, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And we got up on the buildings, and you couldn't tell really who was alive or who was dead, plus the chaos and the screaming. So you just started grabbing anybody that you could by the flak jacket and the helmet and getting them off the building.
Right.
We clear the whole building. We get them all into Amtrak's, and we're going. We get back into the behind friendly lines, and you could start hearing noise inside the Amtrak. In the Amtrak. So we buried guys who were still alive with Marines who were.
Oh, wow.
We didn't know. You know, some of these guys
were just kind of throwing them in and saying, "Oh, hey, we gotta hurry."
So we were just trying to load bodies and get them out of there.
Wow.
Sorting them out. And Manny Cox was I told you I went to squad leader school at Camp Lejeune.
Right.
Manny Cox was an instructor at squad leader school when I was there.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't become friends with him, but I knew him well. And he had extended to go on that deployment. His contract to go on that deployment, and had just had, I believe it was his fourth baby boy.
Oh,
about
man.
3 days before he got killed.
Wow.
We were up on a big building, Armed Forces Radio and Television back, kind of, overlooking the city. And Manny Cox comes back in a Gator or a 151. I got big turkeys outside the sliding door right now. Big Toms right outside the slider.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Do you need time to go shoot them?
No, I can't shoot them. Yeah, there's 3 of them.
Very nice.
Anyways, the Manny, he extended to go on that deployment. I saw him. He came back, and I yelled at him like, "Hey, Manny!" He's like, "Hey, Cisco, what's up, man?" I'm like, "How you doing?" He goes, "Hey, I'm going in. Call your lady." He goes, "Just had my 4th baby. They're gonna send me back in about a week. Blah 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 for the birth of the kid and all that." I'm like, "Oh, right on, man. Congratulations." Well, he went back, but he wasn't alive when he went back.
Yeah.
December 4th, 1983.
Jeez.
Yeah. So everybody's got those days ingrained in their mind. Some have others. Hold on, let me see. I'm down and I got a walkout basement. Let me. Can you see him out there?
Oh, no.
It's too bright.
Yeah, it's bright. I can't really see.
Yeah, we have a crew of about 40 turkeys that run the property.
Wow.
But the toms are running on their own right now because it's mating season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they're kind of running on their own, puffing up, like they're all puffed up out there right now. So that means the hens are over here somewhere.
I see.
They're getting ready to come out because we throw corn and stuff out for them. But anyway, so getting back, sorry, Manny Cox was killed December 4th, 1983. And so that, that's one date that's, that's in the mind. And then that we 8th Marines was done. We were gone out of Lebanon. That deployment was over. And we came back, and, just like typical Marine Corps stuff, that was yesterday. This is today.
Right. Yeah. Time to move on. Yeah.
We're back in garrison and act like it. And right.
Yeah. What's funny is we expect everybody to be able to come back and just, hey, it's back to normal,
Work like
and
that.
it never really is back to normal in the truest sense of what normal was before,
And a lot of that is probably a reason why people suffer later.
True. Yeah.
In with mental illness and PTSD and whatever they call it nowadays. Because just like that, it was back to normal.
Yeah.
That didn't count anymore,
Yeah.
Like if you're a 2 workout guy, right? Your morning workout doesn't count at noon anymore. You're on the noon.
Right. Yeah. You're on the hook for another. So get it out. Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you were benching and squatting at 7 o'clock this morning. It's now 1300.
That's right.
But and I will say, going through all the things into the Marine Corps, Gulf War 1 and 2, I was not a part of Iraq. I was retiring when Iraq was kicking off. I had already been a sergeant major for 4 years. I couldn't get promoted anymore. The only thing I was going to do, and it was still on the thing from Gulf War 1, Lebanon, and all that, was Iraq was going to be a 7-day.
Right.
Because these guys, to me, they weren't good fighters. They're good. They're good killers, but they're not good fighters. They can enough to kill and hurt innocent people or people who are trying to help them. But you stand toe to toe with them, they get, our forward, our forward
turn and run.
Yeah. They can't match what we do. So, so yeah, I ended up leaving the Marine Corps in 2003.
Okay.
And went on and did 20 years in the car business.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit. So after 8th Marines, right? Yeah. So after there, still a corporal at that point?
I was a sergeant, meritorious
Sergeant.
Ray. And
okay.
So, this actually popped in my head a minute ago. I was smirking about it. So I was going to get out of the Marine Corps.
Uh-huh.
I just completed my 4-year tour. I had a secret clearance from 8th and I.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to go up and try to get on either the Park Police Secret Service.
Oh, right.
Something to work in the government and use my clearance.
Mm-hmm.
And excuse me. So I'm 1 week from getting out of the Marine Corps. And we're at my apartment in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Them turkeys are standing right on the patio looking at the slider. It's hilarious. I'll take a picture of them real quick. There's all 3 of them standing there. Oh yeah. So me and a couple buddies, Sergio Diaz, my workout buddy. One of he's got the fan out. The turkey, he's at the deal with his fan, with the fan out at the slider.
He's looking at himself.
Yeah, he's looking in the window. Oh my God, that is hilarious. So Sergio, we're back in the day. So what are we doing? We're sitting at the table. It's noon, and we're playing quarters.
Right.
Dropping quarters off the table into the cup, drinking beer,
right?
Doing shooters of Jack Daniels. We're all getting out of the Marine Corps in like 10 days.
Yeah.
My phone rings, and it's Sergeant Flowers, the career recruiter, or the recruiter.
Yeah.
Not the recruiter, but the career planner.
Career planner. Yeah.
Hey, Cisco Flowers. I'm like, hey, well, dude, what's up? He's like, hey, man, I know you're getting out. He goes, you're all set to go. He goes, but I got orders to San Diego for drill instructor duty. You want to go? I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, I got 8 orders to Paris Island and 1 to San Diego. I figured since you're the California kid, we call you Big Wave Dave. I'd call you first to see if you want to go to San Diego. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? He's like, no. I'm like, what do I got to do? He goes, be down here at 1400 in camis to re-enlist. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of been drinking a little bit, man. He goes, who cares? Get down here and re-enlist. Your CO's already aware if you're coming. I'm like, all right. I went down and re-enlisted. The weird part about that is my wife was at work. We've been married like 2.5 years. She was at work. We don't have cell phones.
Yeah.
I went right by where she worked, went right into Camp Lejeune, went to Geiger, re-enlisted.
She had no clue.
Diego. She thinks we're going to freaking Washington, D.C. in like another week.
Yeah.
She gets home from work. We're back to playing quarters again. I'm like, I got great news.
Now, how great of news was it? How did she take it?
It took a minute. Okay.
Makes sense. Yeah,
it took a minute. But we got to San Diego. I got out of DI school and came back and got her out of Lejeune. And we got to San Diego, and we were there from 1984 until 2021.
You were in San Diego that long?
Yeah.
Not the same unit.
Oceanside. No. I was first Bar Div. I was in 5th Marines, 1st Marines, division schools, DI duty, 3 tours, recruiting duty. They just never sent me away from the West.
Wow. Coast. Yeah.
Deployed with 1st Marines. I mean,
yeah.
But I was right back at my house in Oceanside.
Yeah. Holy cow.
Then I did 20 years after I retired. That's why I was there till 21.
Yeah.
So I ended up my first tour there, DI duty in 1984.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Now that back then it was 2-year hitch, right? Yeah.
2-year tour. And then we went from San Diego up to Oceanside because I got orders up to 5th Marines.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get up to 5th Marines and I'm up there doing whatever. And then I get sent to squad leader school because they were standing up squad leader and sergeant school there at School of Infantry. So me and guys get sent down there to do lesson plans and platform instruction and the whole 9 yards. So we're down there.
Oh, to teach down there.
Yeah.
What you're talking about.
It was
got
new.
you.
It hadn't even opened yet. It was somebody said, hey, we're going to send these guys almost like a Camp Lejeune type school.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was just for infantry platoon leaders, corporal, sergeant, staff sergeant.
Okay.
So, and it had all the weapons, 81s all the way down to, were all organic to an infantry battalion.
Right.
So it was great. So I got sent there, and we finished a tour there and got a phone call. Or no, then Gulf War I hit, 89, 90 time frame, somewhere 90, something like that.
Yeah.
Came back from deployment on that, and then got orders to DI duty again.
Oh, wow. Who did you deploy with on the when you went to the Gulf War? Was that
First Marines.
First Marines?
Yeah.
First Marines, okay.
So yeah, so it was, God, everything was just, once all of a sudden you're at Lejeune or at Pendleton, then you're on a ship, then you're on the depot. It was,
Yeah.
the other, but that was just kind of what I did. I bounced from MCRD San Diego. I'd do a tour. I'd go back up to division. I did a tour at division schools that's where I met Jim Booker.
Oh, okay.
So me and Jim Booker go way, way back. And he was my sniper. Sniper school got relieved for hazing and all kinds of stupid things. So
I remember him telling that story, actually, because we had him on. Yeah.
I brought him. I went over to SOTG, and I snatched him and Terry out of SOTG to be stand-up sniper school.
Yeah. Very cool.
His house down in Texas when I was had my fifth wheel. I was rolling. I was up in Dallas.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I just had him on. Was it about 2 weeks ago or so? Maybe 3.
Jimmy's awesome.
Yeah, it's the first time I ever talked to him. Just like you, it's the first time I met you. So, but yeah, great guy.
Yeah. So we stood up sniper school there, and then I finished. I got promoted to first sergeant out of that.
Okay.
Cool, and got sent right back down. They were not sending me back to division. They're like, no, you got freaking back-to-back deployment. You're not going there.
Yeah.
And we need people down at MCRD. I'm like, I already did 2 tours there. They sent me right back as a first sergeant.
So you went down as a sergeant, then a staff sergeant?
Yeah.
Staff sergeant gunny, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then back down as a first sergeant.
Yeah. So, absolutely. And,
holy cow.
And promoted to sergeant major and went on a recruiting duty in San Diego. Right off the depot.
No kidding.
Yeah, because
holy cow.
The sergeant major who had San Diego got orders to embassy duty, and they needed somebody in San Diego. I was getting promoted.
Yeah.
So the general comes down. He goes, I got good news and bad news for sergeant. I'm like, what's that? He goes, well, you're getting promoted to sergeant major tomorrow at 1300 right here at the schoolhouse, because I was the DI school first sergeant.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
He goes, you get promoted here. He goes, I said, well, what's the bad news? He goes, I didn't say. He goes, I had good news and bad news. I didn't say which one was which. That was when he says, and once you get promoted, you're checking out of here. You're going over to take over RS San Diego on recruiting.
Wow.
Like, what? Said, send me back up to Pendleton. He's like, nope. So that was that.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, you had a ridiculous amount of experience. It was so total on the depot as was what, 6 years?
Almost 9.
Not well, yeah, counting your time with sergeant major for recruiting.
Yeah,
because that was there on the depot, right?
So my first tour was 2.
Okay.
The second 2 were 3 years apiece.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So
wow.
And so what happened was, I did my whole tour as a first sergeant in Lima Company as the Lima Company first sergeant.
Yeah.
The schoolhouse was changing over. I was in the zone for sergeant major.
Right.
I was going to be in the zone. The colonel just says, hey, you're going over to take over DI school for a year until you get promoted next year.
Right.
So I did 4 years that tour as a first sergeant at the
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were like the grand old man of the depot.
I knew. I did every billet there.
Yeah.
Every billet.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But still, it was nothing like the days in the infantry at Horno and.
Oh, yeah.
Those days of just, at Geiger, just life changing, let me tell you. You know.
Oh man, that's good stuff. So now having seen the drill instructor side of the house and then going over and seeing the recruiting side of the house as a sergeant major, like
Hmm.
if you're looking at those duties, there's always that competition as one
Yep.
is worse than the other,
Yep.
What do you see?
Well, so it's really, here's the hard part about those two duties.
Mm-hmm.
There are Marines that, no matter how much you love the Marine Corps, are never going to do well on recruiting duty. Have you ever taken one of those
Mm.
personality tests for like a job?
Yeah.
Those really work.
Mm-hmm.
They do. Well, and in simple things, the Marine Corps can be stubborn at times. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but the
Yeah.
Marine Corps as an institution can be kind of stubborn, and they just think that you can go and do it no matter what. So I had two
Mm.
recruiters, young sergeants, one black Marine, one white Marine. Well, the black Marine is in St. George, Utah, recruiting, and the white Marine is in North Las Vegas recruiting, and they're
Oh
both
God.
failing.
Yeah. Yeah. Go figure.
So I go to the sea, and I'm new on recruiting duty, and I've got the career recruiters there that are telling me they just need to do this and that and all that. And I said, well, so I'm going to take a drive out to Vegas, and then I'm going to pop up to St. George. And I know both the Marines; they're both infantry kids.
Yeah.
I go there, I'm talking to them, and they're both good Marines.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with them. But we had a round pegs and square holes in these two cities, and when
Yeah.
we moved them, they were both successful.
Yeah. Well, that's common sense,
You
and
know,
unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way.
it did not work that way up until finally. It's like, who cares? You would rather relieve these two and ruin their career than have this single sergeant who's
Mm-hmm.
from St. George, Utah, go from North Vegas to St.
Yeah.
Utah, and have this guy who's from Vegas. Actually, he's from LA, but Vegas.
Yeah. It's pretty close.
Yeah. You would rather relieve them.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Wow.
But Mark O'Loughlin, Jimmy Booker. There's so many people that I will never forget really in my whole life, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Very true.
times and places, dates and promotions and demotions and NJPs and different things that we all went through in our careers.
Yeah.
It usually started with hold my beer and watch the, type of thing. And
Yeah.
it's kind of how we're wired as Marines,
That's a true statement. Yeah.
it's a competition every day. But that lifestyle is forever.
Mm-hmm. You don't ever really let it go.
No. It's forever.
Yeah.
I will always thank it. At the same time, I'll always hate it.
Yeah.
But it taught me, it's actually the only reason I'm probably not in prison or something stupid, because
Yeah.
it allowed you to be a guy,
Mm-hmm.
and there was just a few rules, and as long as you stayed within the guidelines, you could be
Yeah.
a guy.
Yeah. I think back when you were going through, like, especially in the, late 80s, going through then, a little bit different. Nowadays, it's, hey, we're gonna, we're to throw paperwork at you right away and this and that. And I think back then it was a little easier because it's more of I'm gonna pull you under my wing. I'm gonna slap you around a little bit and tell you,
Mm,
hey, don't do that again, and give you another chance.
yep.
And unfortunately, I think nowadays it's just, I think they jump a little too quick to the paperwork.
Yeah. 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 No, it's definitely something. And I was blessed in my career. I had somebody, there was an angel on my shoulder that protected me from a lot of stupid stuff that I did. And I don't know
Yeah.
why, and I don't know how. But I found myself in places that I thought, okay, this is the end of my career.
Right.
Someone just snatched me out of hell and
Yeah.
literally moved me 1 foot to the left or the right and said, now go forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, that worked, So
it's amazing how that works out, though.
yeah. I don't have anything else really huge. I think probably on accomplishments were the Marines that I worked with. Especially once you get a little bit older, you're not going to get promoted because of one lance corporal or whatever. It's going to be your full unit and what you've done leading up to that time frame. But
right.
I had a CO, and everything really does go on your leadership above you.
Right.
And I had a captain. His name was Wayne Martin, in Alpha Company 1-4. I was the chief coxswain for the company, and the boats and the scout swimmers and all that stuff. And we had a great mission. And this captain was really something. He was just a young go-getter, but he was still the type of guy who would take the time to recognize his Marines. And he wrote up an award for me that I didn't deserve it any more than another 1,000 0369s deserved.
Right.
In the infantry, but he was one of those guys who spent a lot of time on this write-up, and it was the Sergeant Major Wilbur Bestwick Award. It's for the top leader, combat effective leader that made the most change or the most impact on the infantry unit during a time deployment. And come to find out, there's one that gets it out of the whole Marine Corps every year. Same with the communication, same with different types of things in the Marine aviation.
Right.
And he took his time to write that, and I was selected as the Sergeant Major Wilbur Bestwick Award.
No kidding.
Winner.
Wow.
And it was probably the coolest thing you could even really imagine, because you're sitting there going, it's like getting drafted to the NFL. How many people are trying to get into the National Football League, and you get called?
Good analogy.
Well, this write-up, one person in the whole Marine Corps infantry units was going to get it. Yeah. And I got it.
That's awesome.
From a guy who took time to do it,
Yeah. But you were doing something right to, for him to recognize it for sure. Yeah. But you're not wrong when you talk about, the leaders have to take the time to recognize those guys. And, you don't want to do it too often, but you want to do it enough that, you're going to recognize them when they need it. Yep. And, because nobody's really looking for that pat on the back necessarily.
No, you don't think about it.
But when you get it, you're like, oh, wow, what I'm doing actually matters, So it's important.
Yep.
Very nice.
What else you think?
Well, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. That's kind of I'm thankful for my opportunity to serve the Marine Corps, and with the Marine got to lead and be a part of. That's what's kind of cool about Facebook, is you reconnect with a bunch of them.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me. Two of my family, who stood by me through that whole time, and friends that are still a big part of it, every day, and that mean a lot to you. And you can almost equate something in your day, how you do it, how you say it, or how you perform it, to something you did.
Right. Yeah. It's true.
So, that's pretty much it for me. I wouldn't trade it for the world, and I would recommend it to 99.9% of the youth of America, men or women.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks for coming on and doing this. I appreciate you. I'm glad Mark sent me your way.
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah. If you ever need anything, you got my info, and be more than happy to help you if I can.
Appreciate it. I'm happily retired in Michigan. Just finished a deer hunting season.
Okay.
We're redoing a master bathroom, and then turkey season, and then travel in boats.
Traveling boats.
Yep. We got boats
I
here.
love it.
Fifth wheel and Harleys. So
Oh, there you go. Now you go out to because you're not too far from Sturgis. Do you ever go out there?
yeah, been there a couple times. Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a buddy who's planning to go up there this coming year,
Yeah.
and then I interviewed a country singer. He was in the army, but he's going to be an opening act at one of the stages up there.
Oh, okay.
So he's a country music singer.
Good.
So, but yeah, so he's going to be up there as well.
I'll tell you, I get kind of freaky in with large crowds anymore.
Yeah.
Especially ones that you don't know who's where and what. So Las Vegas shooting, we were in the Las Vegas shooting when that happened.
Are you serious?
Yes, we were.
Wow.
And it just reiterates. And now you look at New Orleans and you look at different things, and I'm not scared, but it doesn't cost me anything to avoid being a victim. Like I couldn't even imagine going to New York City on New Year's Eve in today's climate. Couldn't imagine.
No way. Yeah. I don't know. There's so many opportunities for crazies out there to do things. Thank goodness that they're not doing it more often.
We're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look overseas at other places, man. It's to happen daily.
I'm out on a couple of acres. I got 3 acres out here. Nice house out in the country. No neighbors.
As it should be. And I like it.
When I want to see people, I go see them.
Yeah. I like that. Oh man. Yep. Well, you've had one heck of a career. And then what did you do once you retired? You said you worked in cars.
Well, we hit some TV stuff.
Oh, okay.
So if you go on YouTube and just Google Fox Celebrity Boot Camp, Fox Boot Camp. Matter of fact, I think I've got them on.
That's funny.
Somebody was wanting them the other day. I'll send them to you.
Okay. So you were on the show.
Yeah, me and Tony Rosenbaum and Leo McSweeney.
Okay.
So I'll send them to you right now while I'm thinking about it.
Okay, yeah, no problem. That is pretty wild. I remember watching some of those videos or some of the shows.
Yeah, it was Save the Drama for Your Mama. Get them off my hill. I was the one that was doing the dismissals.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
Oh, there's Lord. Okay, I'll send these to you right now.
Okay, sounds good. Now, how was that experience? Did you enjoy that?
Yes. That was a good time. Here you go, right there. That should be all 9 episodes of regular boot camp.
Yeah.
And then the celebrity boot camp was a 2-hour.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I actually did that while it was the very end of my tour. And I was.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So I was the first sergeant at DI school. We came in from running PT and with the students, and there's a couple of guys with beards and bones sticking out of their nose and earrings and like TV things on their shoulders. And 2 of the gunnies that are walking in with me, they're like my little henchmen,
Yeah.
And they start like, who are you and why are you on my quarter deck? And I'm like, hey, man, slow down. What happened? They were sent out of Hollywood to come to boot camp to find drill instructors to do a reality show called Boot Camp.
Yeah.
And sure enough, where do they show up? On the quarter deck at DI school.
That's the place to go. They did their research.
So I sent them down to the public affairs office at the depot.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, I get promoted. I'm out on recruiting duty.
Yeah.
6 months later, I get a phone call from the Marine Corps Public Affairs.
Yeah.
Hey, Sergeant Major, this is so-and-so from Marine Corps Public Affairs. Just want to let you know you're going to be going TAD. And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? I just got on recruiting duty a few months ago. Nope. I've been approved to go do this TV show. And Marine Corps sanctioned it. They sanctioned both of them. They let them. So they had Marine Corps Public Affairs on the first one. That was in Florida. where
Yeah.
we got GI Jane,
Uh-huh.
and then we did celebrity boot camp at MCRD San Diego on the Yellow Footprints and in receiving barracks,
Yeah.
and then up at the POW camp behind the old hospital.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's where we shot it. And
Wow.
utilized Marine Corps helicopters for celebrity boot camp. We had Bud Bundy, Married with Children, on.
Yeah.
Greg Brady, Coolio, Tracy Bingham from Baywatch. You name it.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Oh, wow. And
I
how
sent you
long was
both.
that? Like
It was
the whole process? What was it?
It was in 2000 for the first one.
Uh-huh.
That was 9 episodes. We were there about 45 days, maybe longer.
Mm.
And then for the 2-hour show, I think we taped it for about 9 days, 9 to 10 days.
Oh, wow.
And dismissal was actually on the Las Pulgas off ramp overlooking the ocean where they have the building set up for Iraq. We built Dismissal Hill above that and did dismissal up there for Celebrity Boot Camp.
Are you serious? Wow.
In 2003. Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and watch all those now.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Pretty sure you have all of them. You should have nine episodes, I think, on the first one, and then
Okay.
2-hour show for Celebrity Boot Camp.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. So we did that, and then we got into did a couple commercials. Worked with Charlize Theron. Worked with who else?
And this was all while you were on active duty?
Yeah. Yeah.
No kidding. Wow.
And then after active duty, I think I did. What did I do? I did a deal with his name was Scott, and I can't remember his last name for me right now because I'm thinking about it. But remember when the Navy SEALs got killed in Iraq? 3 of them were over the bridge.
Yeah.
One of them, his first name was Scott. Me and him co-hosted a show called Man versus Beast.
I think I remember that.
They did like tug of war with chimpanzees, and they raced, ate food against the thing, and it was all kinds of crazy stuff. We hosted that together.
No kidding.
Yeah. And I was in New York at the time, and I don't think I was on active duty anymore. I was in New York at the time, and I was supposed to do an interview on Fox and Friends.
Yeah.
That day before is when Scott was killed, and they hung the SEALs over the bridge.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if they were SEALs. They might have just been contractors. But he was a Navy SEAL because he was doing dunk tank training and stuff at Pendleton.
Okay.
I got called off of that because they knew my whole background, Fox and Friends.
Yeah.
And that was going to be a point of, hey, what's this guy and what did he do? Because that was fresh on the news.
Oh, yeah.
So they called and said, do not go to the Fox studio.
Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah. So we did those shows. What else did we do? Did a couple of consultant deals on it. And then a guy in Hollywood, we were having dinner one night, and he just looked at us and said, we love you guys. You're great. No one can do what you do. No one can be a Marine like a Marine.
Yeah.
No one. He goes, but you guys are going to, he goes, I see you chasing the tail up here, which is the actor big thing. He goes, everybody out here is doing that. He goes, get out of here and don't come back. If anybody wants you, they'll call you.
Okay.
I never went.
Wow. Yeah.
I never went back. Actually, we got a call. We did a couple of little small things for people, but other than that,
yeah.
If not, you give, and they take, and you don't really, you don't win.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And then I spent 20 years in the car business. It was kind of like 20 years in the Marine Corps, man. It was crazy world in the car business.
And what were you doing? Selling cars, or what were you doing?
Got hired in as a general manager.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah, right out the gate.
Dang.
Did a little work as a military liaison, and they were looking for some leadership and somebody who would, take chances and break the mold, and there you go.
Yeah.
And that happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you were able to, I'm sure, put all your years of experience and
Oh yeah,
stuff into play for that. So,
yeah. And I never got sued.
hey,
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
that's one of the biggest things when I was leaving. I was retiring. They were like, "And you never got sued." And I was like, "Yeah,
Wow, man, you've had one heck of a career in life.
yeah,
That's
it has been."
awesome.
And just I'm and blessed to have made it this far. I mean,
Yeah,
how many times have we look back on our life and go, "Why am I here?" And
mm,
and they're not.
true statement.
I think about that about my wife. I think about it with Marines.
Yeah,
6 inches, and it would have been me, not them, right?
that's right. Mm-hmm.
And you can sit there and look at it all you want, and the longer I'm on this planet, the more I know that I'm not the one making the plan. So I'm just living the plan.
It's a true statement. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I end every podcast talking about veteran suicide, and that is a huge topic, especially like what the last 10 years has gotten even worse. But and you talked about PTSD earlier and how it, you usually don't see it right away, you see it later, and we don't really deal with it,
mm-hmm.
in the moment, but you have to deal with it at some point in time, and I think that's when people start struggling and they don't see a way to be able to deal with it.
Well, see, if they're struggling in today's world, now think about today compared to 25 years ago, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you're a kid who's went through what I call them kids, they're now 45-year-old kids that were in
Yeah.
college for 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
and they have their own kids, but you're not you're struggling to find somebody who can identify with anything that you're even saying.
True.
These kids of today, and I wish I could bring them more of the young into like your VFWs, your Legions, the Marine Corps League, the different organizations that are
Yeah.
helping veterans and doing things, and you speak and talk to like-minded people that can maybe say something that help you a little bit. But that right now they run into some people look at you like I was doing a psych eval, and for the lack of better words, through the VA.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking to the psychiatrist lady, and it's on the anniversary of the Beirut bombing of October 23rd.
Oh,
that
gosh.
day, I'm doing this, and I'm explaining to this lady about what I had just told you about the smell of death, about, boom, boom, boom. And I've reiterated about 40 times the date during this interview I'm doing with her in person.
Wow.
In the office in San Diego. And it never dawned on her what the day was. And at the end of the day, I looked at her and I said, "Have you listened to anything? You've been typing since I sat in here.
Mm-hmm.
Have you listened to anything that I've said?" She's like, "Yeah, I've got it all in the notes right here." I said, "What's today?" She says, "It's October 23rd, 2000 and whatever year that was."
Yeah.
I said, "What's significant about what we've been talking about in the last half an hour, 45 minutes? What was that day?" She says, "October 23rd, 2000 or 1983. And then all of a sudden she just went blank. She's like, "I'm sorry."
Wow.
That was the anniversary of what we were talking. And so these kids are under the same thing. They're talking to people who do not care. I mean, you see the people out there right now who do not care about what they've done, where they've been, any sacrifice. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say it right to your face. Most of them will do it on keyboard warrior crap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a true statement.
Most of them will never confront you face to face.
Mm-hmm.
But these kids are dealing with something that I didn't have to deal with because there was still plenty of normalcy out there.
Yeah.
You could go
to
Harbor Freight Tools, be standing there for 1 minute and be like, "Hey man, what's going on? How you doing?" You don't even know. You know he's like you.
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah.
By what they're wearing. True. If they're wearing a Carhartt shirt, anything military.
Oh yeah.
a hunting something, you could probably have a conversation, but these kids don't get that. They don't have that luxury.
Yeah. Well, the whole social media aspect of things is just ridiculous
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah.
And they everything is nitpicked so much. It's ridiculous. You can go from politics to your personal life. I mean,
Right.
it's all out there, and everyone has got an opinion about you. And like you said,
Mhm.
they're keyboard warriors. They're not going to say it to your face.
Nope.
But that man, they'll talk shit online. Man, drives me insane. But
Yeah, they do.
yeah.
That's because most of them don't want to strap on a pair of boots, throw on an Alice pack, and go do it.
True statement. Yeah. 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 Very true. Well, Dave, thank you for coming on and doing this, man. Unless there's something else you want to chat about,
No,
we can go ahead and wrap this one up. But thanks for doing this.
just closing on your PTSD, your veteran suicide, and all that.
Yeah.
If I could say anything to any of the veterans out there that listen to your show, listen to your podcast, or anything, there's 1.5 billion other things you can do besides end your life over a temporary problem.
Very true.
There's always somebody there willing to help you out. Always somebody willing on this podcast, along with other veteran podcasts, that's willing to listen to you, make you laugh, make you cry, and have a beer. Or an iced tea.
That's right.
Have to drink.
That's right.
Unfortunately, that's the bottom of most people's stuff, is the bottom of the bottle. So
true.
And that's
yeah. Well, Dave, you said it very well. I appreciate it. To all the listeners out there, like Dave was saying, if you are struggling, there's ways to get help. The VA has some great resources. You can dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on the chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. I know Dave cares about you.
Yep.
The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies that you serve with. Ask them how they're doing. And if they need a helping hand, please give it to them. Dave, one last time, man, I truly appreciate it. It's a great story. It's been great chatting with you. To all the listeners out there, stay motivated. Change your socks.
All right.
Yep.
So one last thing, and I just told this story the other day. Squad Leader School, Camp Lejeune, 1983. In the heat of the day, no showers, no nothing, just grunt stuff. We're getting picked up because this is the day when you still got paid by hard check. You still had to do you still had to pay bills. Nothing was online. And my wife comes to pick me up to go take care of all that and get my check. I jump in the cab of the truck to take off to go, and she stops the truck and leans over, opens the door, and says, "Get out." And I'm like, "What?" She goes, "You smell." I can't even see. My eyes are watering so bad. You smell so bad. That was how bad I smelled. And we got back to our apartment in Lejeune, and I was standing in the backyard naked, getting ticks picked off me.
Oh, God.
Yes. Yeah. And scratching your legs for chiggers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
So that was my Squad Leader School tick, chigger, you smell bad story right there.
I love it, man.